I guess Hank, the only difficult part about that, and this is kind of where it becomes problematic, is that this is the world we created, right? And so now we created a world where being step parents is allowable because we allow divorce and people to, what I mean, walk away from marriages fairly easily. So now that we have created this problem where there are higher chances of step parents, now we're asking a mother to walk away from her child. And I think that will be an extremely difficult conversation for most people to have because she's battling with the same demons that we battle with. Do I part ways with my kid and let him go live with the father on the strength that I'm trying to, on the strength that I'm just having another relationship or I find a new husband or something like that? And I think that'd be a very difficult decision for her to make. Just, today. Because it's difficult for most men to even not be around their kids every day. So I can only imagine a woman who breastfed her kid and who's had her child on her hip for the better part of the last 5 years, and then asking her, "Hey, look, you think it'll be okay if I take the kid for the next 15 years?" She'd be like,
I know exactly what you're saying, Sweeney, but the issue is I'm gonna always advocate for a father that want to be present to be in a child life because discipline that the father provides, the stepfather may not be able to provide to that same whatever is necessary. Because ain't nobody just gonna whoop your kids if you care. You know what I'm saying? Some people don't believe in spanking kids, so they won't let the stepfather spank the kid. They might feel like you and him beefing or you got an issue with him, so you don't want him punishing your child the way he might want to punish him. You might want to side with your child. It's just too much in there. I think a reasonable woman would see that and a reasonable woman. Now there's some unreasonable ones. I know I completely understand that. I see you, Shan. There's some unreasonable ones, but if you could find a way, bro, we gotta solve the issue. Unfortunately, and everything fall back on us as men. So we just gotta fix the shit however we can. It sucks. It's fucked up the world like that, but shit, that's how it is.
Well, the reality is to fix that issue is to stick with the person you made a child with in the first place.
I agree.
Because if you cross over that threshold where, and this ties back into what Hank said when he said, fix your shit. And then Clout came in and said, hey, bro, that's impossible. Then if what Hank said is the solution to that is you got to fix what you started. But if what Clout is saying is real, then the reality is now you're asking two parents to settle on some shit that is extremely difficult to do. Because even we can say reasonable woman all we want, but a reasonable woman wouldn't want to part with her child at all. And that's just the reality. She just don't want to. Just like we don't want to part with our kids. That's why you think we're in courts every day fighting for the rights to see our kids. Because we don't want to part with them either. It's just unfortunate that I can't be in the same house with you.
What percentage of men you think challenge for custody?
No, that's a problem right there. Most men don't.
Yeah,
most men are taking a future approach.
Well,
most men are taking a future approach, and they okay with being weekend fathers. That's what most men do. And Sweeney, when you sit there and say most kids are not born out of divorce, are becoming step parent out of divorce. Most kids are born out of wedlock.
No, true.
So they're automatic. If they get married, they're automatically going to be stepmothers and stepfathers off the rip. Not because they couldn't stay married, because they was never married. They couldn't stay together in a relationship. So most men are not trying to be full-time fathers. They're not built for that responsibility. They're just not.
Well,
so they just the weekend dad route. They're gonna be the fun dad. Oh yeah, I take them every other weekend. Oh, I get them on every other holiday. That's what most of them want. They're not out there putting that work in to try to fight for the kids.
So I just checked it out. They're saying it's like 4% of fathers who actually fight for custody. That's why.
That's a goddamn shame.
Full custody or just custody? Are we talking joint custody or full custody?
Full custody. And that's what you should be
fighting. Well, the reason why is because I don't know if y'all ever listened to the lead attorney.
Big difference.
Because fighting for custody is extremely hard
for a man.
So it costs a shit ton of money to do. So most lawyers will tell you, hey, the best you can probably get out of this situation is joint custody. Now, here's where it becomes difficult. A lot of the times, if you don't live in the same city as that woman, it's extremely difficult to get joint custody. So if she moves to Atlanta and you live in Chicago, and then you start to try to get custody of your child, and the child is in Atlanta, it's going to be extremely difficult for you to be, especially you got a job here in Chicago. You got a good paying job. There ain't no transfers to Atlanta to follow your kid where they at. So that's one reality. And then there's another reality where I always I do tell people all the time, I'm like, hey, look, the best thing you can try to do is to stay in the city that your child is in.
Sacrifice.
Like that's the best
thing.
Have
to sacrifice. But here's the thing: isn't this the biggest argument ever for why you should get married? So you have automatic parental rights.
Yeah, that is
correct. Yes.
So when anybody asks, if y'all ever have a question again, so you're not dealing with this bullshit. So you have automatic parental rights to your child. So you don't got to deal with this shit.
That is true.
And Sweeney, keep in mind, even 50-50 joint custody is a battle, right?
Yep.
Because what they will tell you is that there has to be a primary custodial parent, because someone has to make the final decision. So the primary custodial parent gets to decide the school, the doctor, all the day-to-day, whatever. And in all honesty, that primary custodial parent overrides your decision. Period.
You know, custodial parent and non-custodial parent.
That's correct. And most of these child support cases, what we talked about time and time again, Shan could correct me, or one of you brothers that's a statistician, the analyst could correct me. But most of these child support cases come from divorce, right? So the fight that we're talking about, the brothers are already in court fighting. Well, you basically negotiate. You ain't fighting, you negotiate. The fight that y'all talking about when those cases are put, when those non-marital child support cases come about.
Most of them don't come from divorce.
No, it comes from out of wedlock.
Yeah,
that's the majority of it.
Are y'all sure?
Yeah, because you got custodial, non-custodial, and was it 9 times out of 10 the men?
No, that comes out of
non-custodial.
The non-custodial, that's in divorce. So
no, but that's in divorce.
We can look it up.
It's also
property.
when the two ain't together as well too. It depends on
which
state it is. It depends.
So
on
it's
what
either gonna
be
TANF. It's not people walking in. That's not majority of cases. People walking in and filing for child support. It's either gonna be divorce or it's gonna be people on welfare. That's where your child support cases are coming from. It's not people walking in. That's not majority of cases. And your statistician just walked back in, so maybe he can correct me. But from what I remember, it's most of those child support cases come from divorce.
No, most of them don't come from divorce. If there's only 30% of us getting married, how's that most of us coming from divorce? The numbers don't add up.
I would guess it's welfare or financial, the aid. Because they automatically put a case on the
You're required if you apply for any type of assistance, you're required to put them on child support.
So
that's gotta be the majority. That's gotta be the majority.
I just did a child support calculator because in the state of Indiana, that's where I'm from, right? And even with joint custody, you still, even when you both spend equal time with the kid, 184 days out the year, you got your son. You still wind up having to pay child support.
Yes.
That is nuts to me.
That's most states. That's most states, Sweeney.
I know. I'm just saying, like,
it's child support is based on income, not based on time spent with the child.
Agreement.
We didn't touch
that. If you and a lady could come to some type of agreement, then you won't have to. And they get it notarized and sign off on it. You don't have to. If you come up with agreement.
Your child support is calculated based on income. It has nothing to do with time spent with the kid. Well, that's actually part of the calculation, but the majority of the calculation is based on income. So if you make more money than her, but you have the kid 50% of the time, and they really don't even split that because 7 days a week, it's no really way.
I put it as equal income.
Yeah, as equal income.
Literally, both of them make about $800-900 a week.
Well, who's carrying the insurance?
I put neither one of them have insurance.
I'm going to father then.
Marcus put out the outcomes. Stay with who you got, who you had to stay with. But
then you got then it's two type of
At the beginning, Sweeney said we didn't create this. The system created this. In the 70s, when welfare said the father needs not to be in the home, but I'm going to provide for you, created this. This was a systematic problem that was put on us. And it was perpetuated by how women also react today. You say you don't need the father in the home. If we're speaking about us, because we're all black men up here, that's where it started. Not that we wanted that. Before that, we stayed in the homes. We came back home. When daddy died, he had a family across town. And the other family met the family, but the household stayed intact. And we're having discussions in 2024 about something systematic. We didn't do this. You understand? Certain things were placed there so financial gains could be given to women to push them further away from their child's fathers, and then things multiply and we get where we are. I'm not shedding accountability from the men that still go out there and get women pregnant, and whatever happens, concessions are not made so that they can stay together and get married. But I would like to say this is more systematic than just a we problem.